Hello, welcome to TrueHoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. I have. I'm about to be an empty nester. Empty. Chrissy's going to Scotland with her older sister. The NBA Finals coming up. I'm not going anywhere, and I think that was by design. I think they looked on their dates to say when can we go to make sure it's just the two of us. So this is me and Wilson starting Saturday for 10 days, and a little bit of the NBA Finals anyway.
Good old Wilson. Well, you'll have your buddy there to protect you, and you guys will hang out.
I'd much rather just be by myself totally.
Poor Wilson.
Yeah. I've never lived alone. I had a roommate in college all through 4 years, literally sharing a bedroom when I was a junior and senior. And, I had a little dorm room in a frat house before that. And then I had a roommate, and then I got married. And so these moments are precious. We don't get many of them. Yeah.
Yes, the kids were around, but now they're back to their lives.
They're gone. Yeah. I was very lucky, Jarod. I'll just say this. My daughter called me the other day and asked me what I was doing next week. And I said, nothing. Mom left me, is leaving me. And their birthday is coming up, the twins' birthday, and I can't go see my son. He's too busy with school and basketball. But my daughter said, I want you to come have dinner with me, and we'll hang out with my girlies, and we'll have a couple drinks and hang out. And I think she's just worried I'll be lonely on their birthday, not realizing I'm very happy not have to worry about it. But yes, when your daughter invites you to go hang out with her for a night, you just say, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Rachel, a wonderfully compassionate young woman sweet. Wanting to spend time with her dad. Coach Thorpe and the girlies. That sounds like that's a show episode.
It's going to be a while. These girls are very smart and absolutely opinionated. Luckily, they see the world as my wife and daughter and son and I do. But to be a kid in college right now in this state,
yeah, for sure.
If you love people of all races and creeds and so forth, right. Not the best time. Yeah, so it's gonna be a I won't say a bitch fest. It's gonna be a gab fest. We're all gonna be bitching a lot. Me too included, right? Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun for you, David. Fun for the Boston Celtics. They managed to stave off elimination. We are recording on a Thursday, as you guys all know, so Game 5 will be tonight in Boston. The Heat still up 3-1. Still a monumental hill to climb for Boston to win this series, but the first thing they had to do was get one, and they got one in Miami. My quick top-line takeaways from the game is, again, whenever I watch basketball, the messages and the David Thorpe angel is always on my shoulder and my ear. And one of the things you say often is sometimes it's not the adjustment is you got to just play better. Right, that is your adjustment, and kind of that's what I saw from Boston. They seem to play better. Miami was up 6 at the half, and then went up 9 in the third quarter. And then Boston, after a timeout, seemed to ratchet up its defensive pressure and intensity, turn Miami over. I want to say like 5 consecutive times, and that led to runouts and quick scores. They got up by 2, and then once they went up, they never relinquished the lead again. Now, of course, it mattered. They hit shots. This is still, as the NBA players love to say, it's a make-miss league, right? Well, when you make shots, that's good. And if the team misses, that means you're going to win. And that's really what happened in that third quarter. And I just thought that this was, when you watch Boston play like this is why their fans get upset with them, because they're like, we don't understand. Why can't you do this and have this level of urgency and seriousness all the time, as opposed to, I guess we should probably start playing now. What did you take away from Game 4?
I mean, fans are just stupid, generally speaking. Hopefully, true fans will feel differently. They're not trying to lose games. They're not trying to miss shots. Think of basketball holistically. Boston I think they were number 2 on offense, number 2 on defense, right around there.
Number 1 in adjusted net rating. Yep, all that.
Number 1 adjusted, right. So it's a very good team. Mm-hmm. So what that means is, necessarily speaking, they're a top 5 or 6 shooting team in terms of percentages, and they take a lot of threes.
A ton. 42 per game.
Right, and they took, I think, 43 or something in this last game. Yeah. 45. So they've not been making many.
No.
But they are the type of team, because they're number 2 in defense, where they can win many of those games when they shoot poorly. Not all of them, but many of them, because they're guarding really well. Flip it to the other side. Miami's not been a good shooting team all season. I mean, obviously they've had their moments, but I think bottom 5 or 6 in percentage.
Bottom 4,
Okay, bottom 4. So, yeah, it's been a few weeks since I've looked up all these numbers. I just remember a little bit. And yet they've been shooting lights out. And so when Boston's not shot well, their defense hasn't been able to do the job, in part because Miami shot so well. Caleb Martin's been unbelievable. I heard on the broadcast they said highest scoring average off the bench in 25 years.
Yeah,
That's astounding.
Yeah.
And so there we have it. They finally put together a game where Boston shot great. Miami didn't. Had Miami shot well, I don't know what would happen.
Right.
But they didn't. And the law of averages caught up to them. It doesn't mean it'll catch up to them again. Every game is unique in some style and fashion. Boston, the most important thing to me was Boston was mindful and physical. Mm-hmm. They weren't just going through the motions when they were down 6, down 9. Mm-hmm. They were trying to win possessions. Yes. And it's the thing that I won't say I complain because I don't really complain about it, but when I listen to I listen to smart podcasts, so it's not even them. But when I make the mistake of occasionally turning on TV or listening to non-experts talk, or follow Twitter, which is just a shit show now. Not a phrase I like, but that's the reality of Twitter in general, not for the NBA, but in everything. The narrative comments just isn't realistic to the players. It is beaten into our skull as players and coaches about next play, next possession, or even the game. Mm-hmm. We don't really go beyond that too much. You just can't.
Right.
You may allow yourself the fantasy of it pretty rarely. The most disciplined guys don't. And so Boston did a good job of just saying, we just have to win these possessions. Mm-hmm. And we have to, let's play better. Let's just shoot better. Give them a chance not to shoot well. Let's try to bring some force to the occasion mm-hmm. to make them not shoot better. Mm-hmm. And let's see what happens. And they won.
Yeah. They
just have no margin for error now. But it's naive to think that they can't win game 5. There's no reason to think beyond that. What's going to happen in game 5? That's all that really matters.
Literally zero margin for error from where they are, right? But what you said was perfect, right? So as I said, it seemed that the adjustment, of course, is to play better. And something you always talk about, and again, that's the Coach Thorpe on my shoulder, my ear when I'm watching games. Yes, it's playing with aggression and playing harder, but it's with purpose, right? And conviction, knowing where you're supposed to rotate, right? With your plan in place and executing the plan, not just running around and, let me put my hand up. No. Okay, I'm rotating here because that man just left, right? Everything was done with purpose and conviction in that third quarter after that timeout. And I thought that was huge. Now, look, it's hard to play that kind of basketball for 48 minutes. Actually, it might be impossible for 48 straight minutes to play that kind of basketball in the playoffs, right? It's just really, really difficult because you're fatigued. The other team also wants to not let you do that, right? So there's a million reasons why things don't work out that way. But this was, a case where Boston really, to your point, they didn't think about, game 5, game 6. It's like, no, we got to get better in this quarter right now on this first possession. They did that. And that's the same mindset they need. The ball tips off tonight in game 5. It's not about game 6. No. First possession. What are we doing? Right. And if they do that, and, if Miami doesn't allow them to, right, like they have a chance. Right. But, I think, again, we're going to see quite possibly maybe the best game of the series tonight.
Yeah, it's I think the way you phrase that last part is really good. You think about the next games will be slogs if they exist.
Mm-hmm. Right, if they exist, yeah.
If they exist. This could be a little bit different. I could see Missoula using the narrative to get them to buy in, like guys,
to sell it.
Game 6 in Miami, they're going to be tight as hell. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It doesn't necessarily should have any impact on game 5, but it'll just be a glimpse of, hey, this is possible. If I heard Kirk Goldsberry and my friend Zach Lowe talking on their show this week, whatever day it was, last couple of days, the same thing probably a lot of us are thinking. If ever there's going to be a comeback down 0-3, it's going to be the top seed versus the bottom seed.
Well, yes.
Well, so Boston was the 2 seed, but they had the best net margin. Mm-hmm. They clearly one of the best teams of the top 2 in the league, probably. Mm-hmm. And Miami was the 8th seed for a reason.
Correct.
So there's lots of other circumstances to include. The reason why the number 1's not there is because Miami knocked them off, right? Mm-hmm. Quickly, by the way, in 5. So, but still, if there's ever going to be a comeback, it's going to be it's not going to be in the 8th seed coming back down 3-0. Almost like it's never happened before, obviously.
Right.
And that's normally what we have when you look at series that have gone 0-3. So it's just a Herculean task because the other team is brilliantly coached, and they're going to scheme and scheme and scheme and scheme and adjust and adjust. And they have a world-class player in Jimmy Butler. They have a lot of players. We'll get to Denver in a little bit, who don't play a lot of the talent that they have. Miami does. And they're getting someone back. I don't know how much Tyler Hero can play.
So if he'd be back for the finals, assuming they advance.
Right, he's practicing now.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard he's cleared to practice.
Okay.
So I don't know if he can't play game 6 or game 7.
Right. Who knows?
Even for just a few minutes here and there, just to give some guys rest. It's, the key that I see from all of this is Boston's down 1-3 because Jaylen Brown's just been terrible. We can look at a lot of things, but he's probably hurt. He just can't make shots. He can't make shots. And so this Boston Celtics team would not be a 2 seed with this Jaylen Brown playing all the minutes. And so it's not easy to pivot. We talked about this last week. Derek White versus Malcolm Brogdon versus Jimmy Butler. Derek White's by far the superior defensive player. He's slight of build. Brogdon isn't slight of build. And so Derek White can't do what Derek White normally does against guys like Jimmy. And so that's a factor too that you have to consider where Boston has to play well, not necessarily great, but they also have to help Miami play poorly. And this team hasn't played poorly consecutive games in a while.
Yeah. And on the injury front, Malcolm Brogdon is also dealing with an injury.
He is.
This is, all of these little things matter. David, in that third quarter, one of the things that Miami prided itself on this playoffs was not turning the ball over. And they had 15 turnovers in game 3. That led to 27 points, if I'm not mistaken. And again, as I said, it seemed like literally 4 or 5 straight where the Celtics just ripped the ball from them and went down the other end and scored. And those are
Lowry had 4.
Yeah.
I think he had 4 turnovers.
And those are back-breaking plays, right? When you're like, oh, man. And now the confidence starts swelling in Boston. Like, all right, we're D'ing these guys up. And now we just scored on a 7-0 run. It really started to snowball. And Jimmy said after the game, that impacted us on the defensive end, right? Where the reason why we're able to beat these guys is it's not just the first effort. And you always talk about this, Coach. It's the multiple second, third, fourth, fifth effort. Well, we stopped doing the third, fourth, and fifth effort, right? It was one, maybe the second one, but not third, fourth, and fifth. And then, of course, Celtics were hitting shots. And part of the reason they weren't hitting shots in the first few games was the Heat were not allowing them to hit shots, right? In many cases. And this is the push-pull and the tug-of-war back and forth. What's going to happen tonight in Game 5? My lean is to bet on the team that is coached to, as you said earlier, not have 2 poor performances in a row, right? The team who's dealt with adversity, who I know, all right, we did not do what we needed to do, especially in that second half of Game 4. Let's come out and be better. So I expect the Heat to for sure be better. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but I do expect them to play better throughout the full 48 as opposed to last game.
You would hope they turn the ball over less. It's hard to predict how well they'll shoot, which is a big factor. Boston is just so up and down. It's hard to bet that they're going to be great again.
Right.
Taking 45 threes. They've been shooting more threes as the series has evolved. Clearly, they're finding ways to get the looks that they want. They've got some issues with, do they stay big with Robert and Horford? Do they go a little smaller? There's a debate about it. The big lineup has not been as good in this series.
It has not.
But it has been a good lineup for them in general. How can any lineup be really good when they can't shoot? So so I think that I don't really know. I don't know that the big lineup isn't going to be just fine for them. What the hope is both teams play their best.
Yes.
That's hard for Boston with Jaylen Brown being hurt.
Yeah.
And so that to me gives an advantage to Miami.
And
I'm not picking them to win by any stretch. Right. I have no idea who's going to win. I really don't.
And that's it's not just as simple as, okay, someone else can play the Jaylen Brown minutes, right? Because there's nobody. Like you're whoever you move to,
he's still the athlete you want him to be. He's moving around great.
Whoever you move to is going to be a lesser player, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to work that way. I do want to point out that we talked about this earlier. We said, why isn't this a Grant Williams series? And then he had the whole early thing, and then he got benched, but he played well.
Yeah.
In the last game, and I think this is a series still where he can be a difference maker. Look, we saw this last year in the playoffs. What did he hit 7 threes in that win against? We know he can. We've seen him do it, right? The idea of like just because you always say it's because you did it before doesn't mean you will do it again. That is true. Right. However, knowing that I once did it before does provide a level of confidence going, well, if I did it once, I know I can do it again because the evidence tells me I have done it, right? And so I think that Grant Williams defensively and hitting threes, I think was big. And he had a couple good plays defensively in that game, in game 4 as well.
Yeah, bringing some physicality is good. Boston just showing a fight. That's important. A couple things on this. I don't know if y'all agree that his headbutting in a sense of Jimmy Butler made any impact. Jimmy Butler's he's been killing people all postseason. Has been headbutted or whatever Grant was doing. I don't know this to be true because, like I said, I don't really pay attention much to TV. But I'm studying this game pretty closely, and I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I have some. I mean, it's really a coin flip game to me. But there are people I'm guessing who are going to speak with real confidence, conviction that they know who's going to win tonight.
Of course,
they're just lying. Or they're delusional. Or they're delusional. I promise you this: Spoelstra has no idea,
right? And
Mazzulla has no idea, and they know more than any of us,
right?
They have no idea because these are not robots. Yeah, the idea that we ever know these kind of things, it's just we know this. Jaylen Brown's really struggling. Mm-hmm. Does seem it's an injury to his hand. Mm-hmm. He also, what was he from the free throw line last game? Bad.
Oh yeah, he was not.
It was bad.
Free throw line last game.
He missed a number of free throws.
Yeah, 2 of 5. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Was it 2 of 5?
Yep. Missed big ones down the stretch.
It's it's hard. Boston's not their best without that All NBA player. And then Tatum, as he showed us, in the Phillies game 6 and 7, like he's got some character because game 6 was an abomination, and then it was fucking heaven.
Yeah, and
then game 7 he rolled sublime, right? So if Miami's up 10 with 7 to play and Tatum's 2 of 18, don't party, Miami.
Right.
305, keep it chill because until he's dead, he ain't dead.
Yeah.
So that's why this series looks, if both teams are going to feel pressure. The idea that Miami's going to feel more pressure in game 6, I don't know. The only team that could game 6 and then lose their season would be Boston.
Yes. Correct.
That's plenty of pressure there.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. We might get Boston's best being down 3-1, just like we saw their best at the end of game 6 in Philly, and then game 7 was great. Rebounding, Miami can be really bad on the defensive boards. Mm-hmm. That is something to follow. A lot of times when you get so focused on lots of other things, you forget what you had been doing that you needed to do to survive. They were a terrible defensive rebounding team against Atlanta. They've more or less solved those problems. They've given up some offensive rebounds in this series because Boston's just missed a ton of shots.
Right.
Percentage-wise, they've been fine. But that one thing I've been thinking about is if Brown does get cooking, big if and Boston starts shooting well, does Miami get spread out and lose their focus on everyone has to rebound because they can really be a bad rebounding team.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to.
No question. And I think a lot of that starts with Bam Adebayo, who was not good in game 4.
Yeah.
I think he had 5 rebounds total, if I'm not mistaken, which definitely not good for him. 5 total. He had 10 points, only had 7 shot attempts in 35 minutes. And part of that was the Celtics trying to, take stuff away from him. But you always talk about the disposition to dominate, right?
Yeah.
And I think Bam has to come with that tonight in game 5, because he is that kind of, player for them on both ends, defensively and again in that mid range. We talked about it during the season. There was a point where you were like, when Bam shoots that, you're like, I'm surprised it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
So he's got to get himself back to that level like he was early part in this series.
He's got to make Horford look like an old man. And sometimes he does. And sometimes he doesn't. They are very reliant on him as a 3-point shooter, as a floor spacer, just a really solid cog in the middle. If he can be made to look silly, just old, huge advantage for Miami. That's on Bam. But Horford's wily, smart. I mean, this guy was winning championships in 06, 07. Just
at Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been around a long. He and Jeff Green are still alive. And we might have 2 games. They played in the final. I want to say that was a Sweet 16 game, Florida-Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Green was great. Corey Brewer was better. Horford was on the team, Noah. But yeah, those guys, that's a long time ago. My kids were like 5 or 6 years old. They're 22 in a week. And these guys are still playing, and one's in the finals already. The other's about to be. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's the longevity of these guys now and what they're still able to contribute. Of course, headlined by LeBron James and just what he's still able to do at this age.
For sure.
It's incredible, right? And I think this is also the evolution of the modern athlete, right? Like it's just more possible now. In the 50s and 60s, this wasn't a thing. Couldn't do it. But now
you have to be dedicated to your eating right and taking care of your body and all those kinds of things. If you aren't, you're still better off than the players from yesteryear because of the other training things that are happening. Mm-hmm. But if you are, you can really elongate your career by a significant margin.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets. All right, David, Denver with the 4-game sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers, and they are now sitting nice and pretty. 9 days off until they play, which, I know that starts the whole rest versus rust debate, right? And players will often talk about being in a rhythm. And they're going to scrimmage at some point, I'm sure, over these 9 days, but that's not going to be the same as an NBA Finals type of intensity. And they will all tell you that. But we here at TrueHoop, we like science. I think it's beneficial, right? Especially let's just say that series goes 6 or God forbid 7, right? Like, the other team that comes in is going to have more of that rhythm of the team playing, but also going to be beat to shit and exhausted. And we talked about this, I want to say towards the end of the regular season, where we said we'd favor any of the East top teams over the West. But one thing we liked about the West was they don't have to beat all 3 of them. You only got to beat one of those teams. And if that team from the Eastern Conference comes out battered and bruised, like let's say this pushes to 7, huge advantage for Denver in game 1.
I think so. Plus it's that altitude.
And that.
if it's Miami wins, but Boston has home court over Denver.
I believe they do.
How dumb am I for not knowing that? I'm really dumb.
I'll pull it up right now.
I really thought Boston had the second best record in the league, but I could.
Yep. 57-25. Yes, Boston will have home court.
Yeah, so that'd be really good at Boston. Not that I think they win the series. It's 25% chance maybe to win the series. Mm-hmm. Enormously helpful. I literally thought, boy, did Boston just win the championship for Denver when Boston beat Miami.
An extra game.
Because Mike Malone won't play guys. He was down to 7 in game 4, down 7. I mean, he really took the chance of, we're going to be dead in the water game 5 in Denver with playing just 7 guys, but that's what I'm doing. And it worked out. Mm-hmm. And he looks like a genius. I question that. But he's, Bruce Brown's been playing great. I still don't think he only played 20 minutes.
Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, 10. The only 2 people off the bench. Yeah. Christian Braun makes one bad mistake, yanked.
And didn't even play in that game. So, but the finals does have some games where there's more of a break on next day. What is the schedule for finals?
So Thursday was game 1.
Sunday.
Yeah, so they're going to have 2 days off in between, and then Wednesday for game 3. So
right. So, that's a big advantage for Denver for the reasons I'm describing. They got all this break and then some time in between those games as well because they just aren't – they're plenty deep. Anyone that says they're not deep, they don't understand basketball or they just aren't paying attention. Mike Malone's choosing not to play those guys. It's working. We have nothing to say. If it doesn't work out and they end up losing the championship, I don't think he'll be coaching in Denver next year. He'll get coaching somewhere else. That's my opinion. But that'll be one of the reasons is they put together a hell of a team, and he doesn't really care.
That's one of the things that we talked about. We said early, you and I both said this. If Denver doesn't make the conference finals at least, Malone's probably gone.
Definitely gone.
But you still think even if they lose, he'll be gone.
Well, the reporting that I've had is that he and Calvin Booth don't talk. I have no idea what the truth is.
Right.
Calvin Booth brought some good players in.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Malone gave a fuck. He's winning the games. Maybe Calvin says, you know what, coach, you were right. Let's be best friends. Let's just have a working relationship.
Right.
But we know, like what happened with Quinn Snyder and Dennis Lindsey, there'd been lots of reporting about that. Mm-hmm. They just stopped speaking. It lasted for a little bit. Maybe that'll be the case here in Denver. Mike Malone's going to be employed somewhere next year. That won't be the problem. Right. It very well could be the case where, not that he's fired, but he just says, win or lose, I want to be able to have a relationship with my general manager. I have no idea what he thinks of the owner. I don't have any reporting on that. There's lots of really good jobs open, right? Toronto's still open. Milwaukee's still open.
Phoenix is open. Philly's still open.
Right. Of course, Sixers. So, yeah, Mike Malone's going to be employed next year somewhere. And maybe he'll figure it out. Like I said, winning sometimes does allow bridges to be built. Sure. So that maybe they can figure it. And again, he gambled and it's worked out for him. I thought it was a mistake. Clearly, I was wrong. They've won these games. And they're playing well. They're a connected group. I've said that all year. That's not the issue. They're a connected group.
But your premise about that isn't wrong, right? I mean, they have guys they traded to get. It's like, well, why did you trade
drafted?
Why did you get Reggie Jackson and Thomas Bryant to not play them?
I mean, even James Najee, play Christian, play somebody. You played 7 dudes. I think they would have lost game 5 had they lost game 4. They'd have been dead. I mean, everyone's playing 40-plus minutes. And, I mean, now, don't even get me started on Tristan Thompson making an appearance. Like, what the fuck? We're going to get to the Lakers. I'll leave it for that. We're going to get to the Lakers and what that mess is.
We will.
Yeah. But I mean, it's worked for Mike Malone. It very well. I mean, it's hard for me to pick against the world's best player and his prime.
For sure.
And he's not up and coming going to be the best player. He's the best. And so I'm wrong all the time. Everyone is. But for 3 years, I've been saying he's the best player in the world. And he got 2 MVPs, and now I think he's got a real chance to win a championship. I love Embiid. I love Giannis. Jokic is the best player in the world.
Yeah, and that's bearing out. I will say this, even though we will get to the Lakers. Darvin Ham did play Tristan Thompson, and they didn't get killed in the minutes he was on the floor.
No, listen.
They actually did well.
Yeah, I'm going to get into Darvin Ham in a minute because I think that was a very foolish decision he made finally in game 4. He could have played other bigs all year long. Let's just say one more thing on Jokic if we can. And you may want to.
We'll say a bunch more.
We got a few things.
Jamal Murray. Yeah.
So let's start with Jokic right now. The 2 circus shots he made.
Oh.
Okay. So I've told you the story, I'm sure once before, how in 5-star camp back in the 90s, they did what's called a situation tournament, which was held sometimes the second last night of camp, where before the third last night, before the playoffs started, sometimes earlier than that, where you had, let's say, it was all shirts and skins at 5-star. So let's say situation 1 is skins down 2 with the ball at half court, 30 seconds left in the game. And there's all sorts down, some team is down 3, 8 seconds to go. It's not a good scenario, whatever. And as a coach, it's the best because you're just X and O'ing all the time.
Right.
It's so great. The players don't love it so much until you start winning. And now because all these situations are so exciting. So I in 1 year, the very first game it's a tournament. So let's say there's 10 teams in a tournament. The first game of the tournament counts in your regular season record. Regular season meaning the week before the playoffs. After that, nothing else matters. And so I had already clinched first seed. And there were 8 NBA players that week in the camp. So Steph was there, Vince Carter was there, whatever, Tim Thomas, all these guys. And my team was undefeated for the week. It didn't matter if we lost this game. And so they had us play Steph. We'd already beaten Steph during the week. And I really outplayed him. He was amazing.
Steph being Stephon Marbury, for those of you who are
unfamiliar. Yeah, not Steph Curry. He was barely alive. Not probably barely born, yeah. So Marbury, and I have witnesses to this, not 1, not 2, 3 half-court to three-quarter court shots to beat us in the situations, okay? Now, did 2 of the 3 come late? For sure. Did I think my brother insists all 3 were after the whistle, but there's no, we're outside.
Right,
Some dudes has got to score to keep, it's not perfect. It's Steph Marbury. They're going to count it. And I was thrilled because I just wanted to rest my guys.
Right.
I didn't care about matching wits with everyone else. I'd done enough of that. I just want to relax and enjoy. And Steph Marbury made all 3. And it was another great lesson of what the blue chippers can do. I've seen Grant Hill beat Florida single-handedly in the Final Four. I've seen Stackhouse do some amazing things as a high school player, blah, blah, blah. Well, what you just saw, what a blue chipper does. Like those 2 threes that he made, right foot, off balance. These are low percentage shots, but
of course, behind his head,
right,
I mean,
because he had to get it off.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the world's best players do. It's like, are you surprised Lionel Richie wrote another great song or Mozart composed another great op, whatever? Like these are the best in the world at what they do, and this is what they do.
Right. Yes. No, Jokic, those 2 shots in so many ways define his brilliance, right? Because
for sure,
it's
not even what he does best.
Right, because it's the passing and the understanding of the game and orchestrating where to go. I've said this before on this episode. One of my favorite things about watching Jokic is when guys first come and play with him, and he's directing them where to go on the court. And they're looking at him like, no, but the play's not. No, just run where I'm telling you. Go there. All right, they go there, fucking wide open layup. He's like, and the guy looks, the running back looking at him like, yeah, because I know what I can see this, my friends. I see the game. I know where the rotations are coming from. I get it. You just follow me and do what I tell you to do. And it works because he's fucking brilliant.
It's very funny you said that just now. We have not talked off air about this. I had a dream last night of Jokic. This is not typical of me dreaming about NBA players. Playing chess on the basketball court, literally. I don't remember who the other guys were on the court. It may not have been Nuggets players. It was a dream. But he was doing like next level shit, and I was announcing. And I was saying this like he saw this move 3 plays in advance. Yes. He just has an amazing feel. He's not perfect. He doesn't allow his physical detriments to slow him down, literally. He's not a great jumper. That helps him. He's always in contact with the ground offensively, offensive boards. He's a pace pusher. That was a big part of the series. He just rebounded and ran. Miami is a slower paced team. I could see if they get to the finals, he's going to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. He's going to try to push pace, and he's really elite conditioned. Elite conditioned. And to your point about controlling things, we may have mentioned this recently. Jordan talked about in The Last Dance how he used to just out athlete everybody. Mm-hmm. He said this, his voice. Mm-hmm. And then as he got older, he realized with his mind he could really control the game. I thought Giannis found that level in the Phoenix series 3 years back, 2 years back, whatever, where he just realized, I can control everything here. Yep. It's an amazing, I've never had that feeling as a player. It's a very rare thing. Steph Curry's probably had it a few times. Draymond probably even. I looked up the other day, one season, I think it was the year they won 73 games. Draymond's on-off court numbers were plus 26. Like, it's just outrageous. Outrageous. What are you doing? So that's a sign of something. Yes. I think Jokic is at that point now where he just has a firm control of everything when he's on the court, which is why he's on the court 45 minutes or so each game. Yeah.
No, they are incredible. And that the things that, right, the ability to, or the lack of ability to jump and all that stuff, that's actually what's going to make him still be a great player well into his late 30s if he decides to keep playing, because, well, I can never jump off the ground anyway. So what difference does it make, right? Like, so I think he'll be fine.
To that point, not that we're rushing to get him out of here, there is a level of minimum athleticism that's required in most positions. That the players that rely on craft and intelligence and skill more than athleticism, when they run out of that level of athleticism, they're done. Like Shane Battier retired quickly. There's a lot of those guys. I don't know enough data on the 5 position, but I agree with you. I think Jokic is around as long as he wants to be. But he does get up and down well. He just doesn't jump well.
Correct.
So it is something to monitor with him, but he's done a great job changing his body. And, I watched the game closely the other night, fourth quarter. He was still fit in the fourth quarter. He was fit. He was moving.
Little
Jokic. He did not show a sign. Yeah, when my brothers were in college, they had a friend named Big, because he's a big dude. Yeah. And one summer he came back to school. I was already out of college. He came back to school. He had lost a lot of weight. And my brother Mike's a very, 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 you haven't met him yet. You'd love him. He's a very witty guy. He's like, do we have to call you medium now? That's a great line. So Jokic is like small now compared to what he was.
Yeah.
Kevin Love too, by the way.
Well, it's funny, right? Michael Malone talked about this after the game. Anybody that told you they knew Nikola Jokic was going to be a 2-time MVP is full of shit. They're lying. He's like, no, right? And you said that. No, nobody.
I didn't say 2-time. I just said best player in the world if he lost weight. Yeah.
But because
Malone, I didn't know Malone said that.
Because Malone was like, he came to Summer League, and I was like, oh, this is a smart, good player. But like, he's fat and like, right?
Oh, back then I predicted nothing about him. Yeah.
Who could see any of this, right?
Right.
It shows dedication, and it's about the chest. You saw Queen's Gambit, the Netflix series. And remember that scene where she's lying in bed and she's staring at the ceiling, and she's seeing the chessboard, right?
Of course.
That's Jokic in so many ways, right? But on the floor, he's like, oh no. I know where the rotations. I know exactly what's going to happen. Trust me. Just cut here right now. This is going to be open. It's beautiful when you and that's the thing, right? Most fans, when they watch the game, they can't see those things. And I know I always say to you, oftentimes for me to see it, I have to rewatch it in the morning on Synergy at half speed, and I go, oh, there it is, right? but in that real time when it's going, I don't know what's happening, right? It's like so fast, but it's amazing when guys can do that. Jamal Murray, we said it last episode, one of the best shot makers in the NBA, and he was
tough shot makers.
Yeah, he was incredible in this series. 34 points. I think he averaged on like 54, 40 something, 95. I mean, it was
both of them were incredible.
Yeah, and their 2-man game and their connection that they have with each other, you could see like it's brilliant. These are guys who clearly they are basketball partners and they just know everything about each other's game. And when they need to get buckets late in the possession or whatever, they know what they're running. They have an identity. That's what I think. The more I watch Denver, this team understands who it is on both ends of the court, right? They know who they are offensively. They know who they are defensively. And as I said on Monday, they've gone through the collective pain of losing in the playoffs and Murray and MPJ being out the last 2 postseasons. Like, this isn't some fly-by-night team. Like, they've gone through the lumps and they have all of the characteristics. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. That would suggest they are ready to win an NBA championship.
I mean, their defense is suspect. If they end up being average, it could be enough because their offense. They have the world's best player.
Yeah,
and it just go through. I mean, I was talking to Henry yesterday. Barkley was right there as world's best player and never won a championship. Very few absolute best in the world didn't win during their peak time. At least one.
Right.
Very, very few.
Or get to the finals at least.
Right. But yeah, exactly. Well, they're in the finals, but they normally win it. They're a best. Like, who didn't? Barkley. Like, who hasn't won any when they were at one point the best in the world?
Right.
Grant Hill, when he was the best in the world, his team was just bad. And he wasn't the best for long. Jokic's been there 3 years, and here we go. He's in his first finals. He's the best in the world.
You mentioned Calvin Booth making some awesome pickups, and I agree. Bruce Brown, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, and Aaron Gordon are, and it's cliche, but I think it's true, David, like starring in your role, right? Like we talked about the Miami Heat on Monday, and you wrote a great piece about Miami's fuck you culture. This is what you do well. I'm going to, as a coach, put you in a position to do those things for us because they impact winning, which that is the whole point of why we're here. And Bruce, not only does Bruce play well defensively, that whole idea about pace, I know you watch the games, every time when he's on the floor and he gets the ball, he is racing up and he gets these layups. I'm like, they happen just because you guys aren't running back on defense. He blew by the Lakers 10 times.
And you cover the Nets.
Yes.
Do you remember what position he played for the Nets?
Played the 5.
Yeah. He's a guard for them.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that. Nothing, and Brooklyn was just fine. But I doubt Denver's the only team in the NBA that would be better having him on their team as a guard. Other teams probably just didn't have the imagination that he could do it.
And is it that much imagination?
No, not at all.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it to me. It seems pretty simple.
No, his story is an important story. How he plays in the finals. These other teams have some veteran players that have been there before. Yeah, we'll see. It helps to have the big fella. It helps to have that guy. He's just he's the right guy and like Giannis. One of the best about Giannis is he's such a humble guy. He's such a hardworking guy. You want to play well for him. That's a big factor when you're the world's best player. Jokic is of the same mold. You clearly look at his body, his sense of commitment. Just by sheer ability to pass, like who wouldn't want to play with this guy? So there's a confidence that can come from that. I spoke to a Nuggets player last night who's never been in the finals before. Just wait. I said the reason why if Miami had won Game 4, they weren't going to play 3 days later. Is because the international media has got to be able to schedule everything out. They've got to book. Lots of international media are coming. And he said, he's a smart kid. He said, yeah, that's what I figured. It was something along the lines. He said, yeah, you're going to be. I've been to a lot of finals games. It's a throng of people.
Get ready. It's a whole different level of media.
Man. It's a scene. And so it's going to take a little bit to adjust. Whereas Miami, a lot of those guys have done it. I mean, start naming all. Martin hasn't done it.
No, Martin hasn't.
But Hero, it was different, and it was different in the bubble. I just now realized that.
No fans, no media in that way. Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, you've been to All-Star game. It's like that. The podiums and like the scrums.
I left the All-Star weekend before the actual game.
Okay.
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's just everywhere. And you're going to get a whole bunch of just like the press conference room is full. Now they have done a little bit differently because of COVID and like letting who in and what, but it'll be something different media wise. These guys have never seen. I think with Jokic, so much of it is about ball sharing, ball finding energy. And when you know you're going to touch the ball, it makes you do all the other things you want to do, right? It's very hard to play basketball and do the screening, boxing out, and all the other stuff when I'm never going to touch the ball ever, right? On the other end.
If Jamal Murray was their best player, they would not be close to being in the finals. He's a great player because Jokic is their best player. He can get very sticky with the ball. But when you're on a team with Jokic, you can put up with it. And he's also a great, big-time shot maker, and that helps your team. You're trying to win. Jokic has to be their best player for Murray to do what he's doing as the number 2.
We talked about all the different players on Denver contributing. Everybody knows MPJ is my kind of guy, but I just thought, David, in that series, we talked about it on Monday, thought he played well. It's not just about, as you said, it's about impacting winning. Shot making and making shots is one way you can impact winning. An important way for sure. You got to score more points to win, but can you grab rebounds? And I think he averaged double digits in rebounds in that series. And David, these weren't the kinds that were just like, the lucky rebounds you get where you're just in the right place and the ball caroms off far, no one's around you and it falls right in your hand. Well, that counts as a rebound on your stat, right? Because you got the rebound. But MPJ was battling for defensive possessions and getting them in there amongst the Lakers' other players. And that's how you end defensive possessions, right? You play 24 seconds of great defense, but you give up the offensive rebound. Well, then you didn't play great defense because they got the ball back. A number of times in that series, I thought defensively on the rebounding end, he did a good job. I thought he competed with his man in front of him. When he got by, he would use his length to try to get block shots and passing. He had 6 assists, 5 assists, like he had some nice assist total games where old MPJ, he gets the ball, he's firing it up right away.
It's a hard game. Young guys fuck up.
Yes,
he's growing up. He's growing up. He's learning the game. Credit to the coaches as well as to himself. He's going to have his hands full in this next series, regardless. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is good. Jason Tatum's good. The Miami runs more tactical stuff. Boston, it just has more talent. And so you're nervous about who's going to get open and where. You've got to think the game. But listen, they just got done beating a talented Lakers team. So I think his growth has been huge.
A talented team that you were high on all season long. And it bore itself out, right? Because they didn't get blown out in this series. Like, yes, they lost in 4, but like they had chances to win every game they were in, right? Just again, the old age of LeBron and AD, I think caught up to them, right? The minutes, and we saw it for sure in game 4. LeBron played every minute of the first half, was awesome. In the third quarter, like you silly, I had the sound on, should have had the sound off. Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, he got to just attack the paint. I'm like, he can't. He just
can't breathe.
Right. He played every minute. He literally cannot.
The Nuggets players were saying, according to one, like they're so tired. LeBron is so tired. They knew it. And this is something players do feel. So yeah, no surprise. Darvin Ham played his guys too many minutes. And the fact that he finally played a center as a backup AD, and it was Tristan Thompson, who did fine.
He did.
Listen, the Lakers had success early in the season with backup centers against Jokic, but that's Darvin Ham just didn't want to do it. He wants to play small with Hachimura or whatever, and it was a mistake. Yeah, they got outcoached in that series, in my opinion. Darvin did better as the playoffs went on, but I thought they didn't just got to play; they got outcoached too.
Well, let's get to the Lakers. You said this about Mazzulla, and I used to say about him. He's as bad as he's going to be as a head coach right now. Like,
I would not fire either guy.
Next year, if they are in the same position, you expect him to be a much better coach in this position than he was this year. Or maybe not much better, but better.
Yeah, better. And I don't know either gentleman. I know this. I thought Ty Lue got better every year. It helped that he went to 4 straight. That really helps a lot. It really helps a lot when you just have the reference point almost like on your rearview mirror. So yeah, you should if you are humble, you learn from your mistakes. You watch the games over again in maybe a month when it's the pain's out of your system, and you figure out what could you do differently. They have a lot of work they have to do because LeBron is they've got to change what they're doing with him.
For sure. Clearly.
They've got to change.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a Lakers priority standpoint, Austin Reeves to me has got to be at the top of the list. So you got to find a way to get him back in there. Now, the problem with that is they have salary cap constraints, I'm pretty sure. Because
is he a restricted free agent?
Yes. Oh, unrestricted, I think.
Unrestricted.
And
maybe you're right.
Other teams saw him play and play well. I can't imagine they're going to be like not throwing offers at this kid. I mean, they'd be stupid if they didn't.
Oh, they're definitely. I mean, I didn't know what his status was because I'm focused on this season right now still. But I thought the Lakers lost the series by not featuring him more. It was too LeBron centric.
I'm with you.
Too LeBron centric.
I'm with you. Oh, restricted. Okay, he's restricted.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, he's restricted. So Lakers can match. Well,
yeah. and should.
I was going to say.
Hold on. You asked me a question in the document. What do they do? Right. So the first thing that has to happen is the conversation with LeBron and AD. Right. Are we committed to you guys? Are you committed to us? How does that work out? And if the answer is yes, you have to keep Austin Reeves. Mm-hmm. But you have to also make some agreement with LeBron, like you're never playing more than 25 minutes a game until we get to the postseason. It's a long way from now. We can reconsider in the postseason, but we're cutting you to 25. I picked the number. I'm not gonna pick the number. Scientists should, and LeBron's allowed to have a say in it. Right. But we're not gonna get you to 30 plus. Whatever the number in science says, we're committed to that. AD, same thing. We're not playing you 40 ever. We're never playing you more than 30, whatever the scientists say. They have the money. They can do some research on it, hire some good people. And then you start building the talent around it. It starts with Austin for sure. Yeah.
Austin for sure's got to come back. I think they like Rui too. I think Rui stays probably if they can.
Yeah, he's a very good. I mean, those are two very good offensive players now. So now we have to find some good defensive players because that's important.
You got Vanderbilt on defense. Now this is where I know because the Lakers aren't good at this. Can he develop the offensive side of his game? Not everything in one summer, but can he add something this summer that, okay, we don't have to worry about not playing him in the playoffs. No, you're two-way. We can play you in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, that's anybody. If you can be elite, we can find room for you. But if you really can't shoot at all, it's a problem. And so that's a problem for them. But it's a good problem to have. He's not going to be that expensive.
No. And he's young.
They've got a lot of, I mean, Gabriel can come back. He's probably unrestricted as a free agent, but they didn't play him at all.
Surprising.
Yeah, Malik Beasley. I don't remember what's his status. They stopped playing him totally.
They
because of defense.
They benched D'Lo in that game.
Yeah, D'Lo too. Obviously, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't be married to those guys.
Yeah. Oh, so he has a team option for next year. Malik Beasley.
So they could get rid of that
at a big number too, $16 million.
Yeah, they get rid of that so they can pay Reeves.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they do. Is what I think.
Listen, Miami has shown everyone if you coach them up right, you're going to have some undrafted players with low salaries. Yeah,
and we're going to get into that now because we're going to talk about a little bit about the draft combine. So it happened last week, and names are starting to bubble up, and we talked about this, David. Everybody's saying, "Oh, this is a 3-player draft," and you've come out numerous times and said teams that go into the draft thinking about a player versus players do this wrong. And I agree with you. Of course, everybody knows you want and need the blue chippers, as you mentioned at the top of the show. Of course, we all know that. You can't win ultimately without the blue chippers. But this ain't 5 games of one-on-one. You need a roster full of other guys who impact winning. And that's what you should be using the combine for. Who are guys that can impact winning? And they're, I mean, I don't know how many players at the combine, 200, 400?
No, it's 40. 40-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to imagine of those 40, there are players who can impact winning there. I'm
40.
Sure.
Listen, it was 40-ish plus 37 that didn't even come.
Okay.
That were invited to come. So in other words, the entire first round, those guys think they're first rounders anyway. They didn't even come. Okay. So you're looking at somewhere around, to your point, 60 something guys that could help a team. Not next year,
right?
Years from now.
Yeah.
Years from now. Then that could help your franchise ultimately win games. Yeah.
And that is incumbent on you as a franchise to identify who those players are.
And more importantly, develop them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Figure out what is it about this young man that fits our culture that we can develop into a productive efficient player that helps us win games in the aggregate, whether it's more offense, more defense, both in the aggregate. There's plenty of guys that did it. The guy that took the biggest jump in everyone's mock draft or evaluation is the only young man I've really spent a lot of time talking to. I've never gone on the court with him. I've been on the court watching him. Is the kid they call him Omax, Olivier, Prosper from Marquette. Very, very athletic. He's got a little OG in his game, maybe more athletic than OG. High level defender, 7'1" wingspan. That shut down Jordan Hawkins from Connecticut twice. Remember, Marquette won the Big East regular season and the tournament. And so now he's in mock drafts in the first round or very high second.
Late first round now.
I don't know the truth. And here's what I mean. I don't think anyone's lying. I'm not really engaged in the draft process right now. I will be when the finals are over. For me, when a team tells me we're probably going to take him as one of two, and there's one team that does that, great. When there's 7 teams drafting, let's say 20 to 30, 7 teams all have him as a top 2 or 3 of the guys they project. Remember, all these guys do their own mocks. So they're projecting who's going to be there. They do it every day or multiple times a day. Who's going to be there? He's one of 2 or 3 projected to be there that we really like. Now you got a good chance to me to be a first-round pick is good. I have no idea if those mock drafts are reporting based on their own evaluation or on what teams are telling you. It's early in the process. But to your point, to me, your bigger point, we always talk about playing defense, but we don't draft it.
Correct.
And it's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge mistake.
It is half the game.
You can't play a guy for defense anymore, and you can't play a guy for offense.
Correct.
Yeah. It's a shame that we don't that enough teams appreciate that. Like Caleb Martin went undrafted. This crazy athletic dude went undrafted. His brother, his twin, who I thought was more of a shot, he was looking to score more, got drafted. This young man's a better player. I liked him more coming out. And look what's happening. And he's learned to score. He's learned to score.
Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, all undrafted, Duncan Robinson, and Bruce Brown, second-round pick.
No, Duncan wasn't second round.
I said Bruce Brown, second-round pick.
Oh, right. Duncan was undrafted too, right.
So 4 undrafted guys and a second-round pick. Starring in the conference finals, 1 already in the NBA finals.
Yeah, right.
The other 4 likely to be there soon.
Right.
So, if they're undrafted, that means every team passes them twice. Right? That's what that means. Miami isn't like, and this is not a knock on Miami, but it's not, Miami doesn't possess the genius of player development. Anybody could have found these guys and do it. It's a want to, I feel like, David. You've got to want to do that. Put in the time, hire the right people, have the right culture and strategy in place, and have the right program. And I just don't know that enough teams care enough about it. And
I do know that they don't. I mean, I do know that they don't. The teams that do a better job are really advantaged in this. And if I was an owner of a team and paying attention, because a lot of these owners don't pay much attention, I would think you would see Miami play, and you would see Jokic, by the way, and say, "Don't give me an excuse, guys, that we don't have enough lottery picks. Just don't do it." Giannis was out of the lottery. Kawhi's out of the lottery. Jokic,
second round.
Middle second round. Like, that's not acceptable. Not acceptable. Jimmy Butler went 30th in the first round. He was dead last. We've got to select the right kind of player for what we want to run, or we have to adjust what we want to run to the player that we have.
Correct.
And we have to create an environment. Miami didn't create Jimmy Butler.
Correct. They
just recognize he fits our system well. But these other guys, they did kind of create in the G League process. I wrote about this in that article about the fuck you culture. That I got that from an NBA coach who said to me, they have a fuck you culture. You don't like what we're doing? Fuck you. We have faith in it. And, you thought they were lucky in the bubble. Right. Well, they've just proven no. Yeah. That was just Miami being Miami.
No,
Spo being Spo.
Yeah, they did an incredible job. Speaking of the draft, you put this in the doc. So the Spurs want a point guard, probably to pair with Wemby, what I'd imagine. So what are you thinking? San Antonio might do move on from Devin Vassell possibly. What are the Spurs thinking? So,
a couple of things. Number No fucking way. Well, let me ask you, who would you trade Wemby for?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I mean, in the like, you mean players that's active right now?
Yep. If Milwaukee comes to you with Giannis, if Philly comes to you with Embiid, if Denver comes to you with Jokic, who are you trading?
Embiid, no, because the injuries. Look, I know this sounds blasphemous, but I'm just not, because I don't know what I have. Jokic, I probably would do because he's the best player in the world right now and only 26. And Giannis, you could convince me Giannis, but Embiid definitely not because of his injury history and his age. Definitely not. But I don't know. Wemby could be the best player in the league in 3 years. It's very possible.
Yeah, there's no one. The answer to the question is no one.
No one. Right.
I understood your point. Right. First of all, the team isn't built to win a championship. You have to totally overhaul everything if you got Jokic, whatever. Wemby can do a lot of what Jokic does and just way better on defense. Right? He shoots threes better and he handles the ball better. He cannot pass like Jokic. That's all right. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Like, there's other ways to win. Embiid just won MVP, and he can't pass like Jokic. This guy has all that upside and a much better defensive upside than Jokic. Mm-hmm. He could be even better than Embiid. And he is going to capture European fans in a way Jokic doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know anything about that.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Wemby is going to get – he's going to be the face of basketball. I'm telling you. He's going to be the face of international basketball in a way Luka hasn't been, and Jokic hasn't been. He's going to be
that. I don't know if you saw this, David, in an interview he gave recently. He's obviously talking about being on the French national team. Of course, the FIBA World Cups this summer, which he will be on that team. Also, the Paris Olympic team in 2024. He's like, I want to win the gold for Paris, and I want to beat Team USA in the gold medal game. I'm like, I like this kid. I really like this kid. Like, he's, like, I think he gets it from a global sense and like but I think he also understands that basketball is the main thing and he's going to keep that the main thing. He's got a good team around him. I think San Antonio is a perfect place for him to be. I'm so excited about him coming into the league and what he can do. And I hope the Spurs can, do the right things and put the right pieces around him.
And so to that point, I don't want them to trade Devin Vassell, and they probably won't. He's 22 years old. He's matching up great age-wise.
Because he came out as a freshman after his freshman
year. No, he came out after 2 years, but he was 19 when he came out. Okay. So he thought 37+% on high volume threes as a 19-year-old. As a 22-year-old this year. He didn't play a ton because of injuries, but I also think that was part of the tanking job. Mm-hmm. I don't know this to be sure, but he's going to be a high-level defender. He's going to be a Chris Middleton type, I think, which I always thought he would be. He's got a lot of Reggie Miller in his game. He shoots the ball way above his head. He's hard to get to. And having known him, because we saw him in person when my son visited Florida State, like just the most infectious personality. I spoke to a Spurs player this year a few times about him. Like, he was their favorite veteran. Like, just a great guy. Just a 3-star athlete coming out of high school. Wow. Florida State offered him, because no one else above low major offered. Florida State was the only one to do it. Then I think others came. And 2 years later, he's in a lottery pick, and they're going to pay him a lot of money. He's the perfect guy to play with Victor. Perfect guy.
Yeah.
So I would not trade anyone.
Yeah. I don't think they will. I like that duo. Very excited about this. You mentioned face of the NBA and face of European basketball more so than Jokic. So there's an interesting video clip that surfaced. Chris Mannix from SI was on the Rich Eisen show, and he was talking about the Denver Nuggets. And one of the things that Denver Nuggets fans talk about is how the team gets no respect from national media, and the national media doesn't talk about them. Michael Malone kind of echoed that throughout the postseason. He's like, we win the game, and the question is, what did the Lakers not do, right? As opposed to what we're doing well. And part of that's his salesman's job as the head coach to say, nobody believes in you, see? Right? All that stuff that, we kind of turn our eyes at, but you got to sell your message somehow. And if they buy it, they buy it. It doesn't matter if it's horse shit. You're buying horse shit, you're buying horse shit. Fine. And Mannix said to Rich Eisen was, the reason is because Denver's just not a very compelling team. And I thought about this in the larger landscape of what we do here at TrueHoop and media and, stuff that our boss, Henry Abbott, talks about all the time, and the NBA being a TV show, right? And you're selling stars. And there is something about it's much easier for the national media and those talking head shows to sell you drama in LA and drama in Golden State, right? Because those people. LeBron's been a TV star your entire life watching basketball, right? So has Stephen Curry and all these different things, and Draymond and all these popular people you've heard of before. But this idea is that, well, who's this Nikola Jokic guy? They had to fly to Serbia to give him his MVPs. He was on his horse farm. He wasn't even in the States. And I get both sides of it, David, in that casual fans are going to know, like, Henry always does the test. Does your mom or your grandma know about this? Have they ever heard of this person? Right? Your mom or your grandma probably heard of LeBron James, right? Because of his ubiquity. Everyone's heard of LeBron James.
Right.
Like Nikola Jokic? Probably not. Right? Like, unless, your mom's like involved in basketball, is the son of a basketball coach like David. But odds are, no, your mom or your grandma never heard of Nikola Jokic. But I think that is a failing on the media part, right? Because that part is, okay, maybe Jokic doesn't want to do these things, but that's on us to tell more stories around Denver and to make the other part of basketball compelling also beyond the drama. Like, I get it. Part of human nature is to like drama. That's just who we are. And that's fine. And you can like all that. But we as a collective media can do a better job of saying, okay, there's drama on one hand, which is, of course, always compelling. But here's this awesome story about this guy who loves horses, who was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, who's the best player in the world.
Yeah. I think people just tend to be lazy. And so it's easy to look at highlights and the long distance threes and the athletic dunks and athletic finishes, Giannis, LeBron, all these, Steph Curry. It's just like probably in, my favorite movies and TV shows aren't the over the top Transformers, Marvel movies. Right. I love the Marvel movies. I grew up with them with my children. They grew up with them with me. They'll forever a place in my heart. But if I had to list 150 movies that I'll be watching alone for 10 days, I won't be watching 150. None of them will be on the list. There might be some lists that I've never seen before. Right. There might be some movies that I have seen before. None of them will be the Avengers movies and the Marvel movies. The subtle talkies, the things that make you think. I'm lazy in a lot of respects. I'm not lazy with stuff like that. It's the same with sports. This subtle. I loved McEnroe not because of his drama stuff. I like the angles. I didn't know that much about tennis. I knew a little bit. The angles that he played, I thought that was just clever. There was a cleverness to it. I'm not probably normal, although he was well loved, I'm sure, by a lot of people for the other reason, because he was so loud and whatever. Jokic is an acquired taste. You other guys might get dunks. It won't be his dunk. Right?
Right.
He's not going to have the in-your-face block shot.
Right.
He's not going to blow you away with athleticism like Dwayne Wade did.
Right.
It is what it is. The league probably fails, but ultimately it's the media. But let's face it, most media people are trying to do what Fox tried to do. What does the audience want? Let's give them that.
Pretty much.
And that's something Henry would never allow us to do.
Never.
He would not. Henry is not going to say, well, everyone wants to read more about Spoelstra, so let's write about Miami. He's going to say the opposite. He's going to say, no. Spoelstra is the story right now. And then what he's going to say to me is, don't just give us what everyone else does.
Right.
So when I wrote the Heat's got to fuck you, I had no intention of writing the article about Eric Spoelstra, that fuck you culture. When I said it on our conversation, Henry spoke up and said, David, that's the story.
That's the story.
Yeah, I wasn't even my quote. I don't care about that. Yeah. So to me, if it's the flavor of the month, let's just make sure we're accurate and truthful on discussing the flavor. And so in the case of Denver and Jokic, first of all, I happen to like Denver very much as a city.
Very compelling. I think it's a very compelling team.
They've never made the finals before as an NBA franchise. They have the world's best player. He very well could complete what Giannis did. MVP, finals MVP champion. Right? And now Jokic is in line to do the exact same thing.
And then you go back retroactively and you say, not us, because we said Jokic was
right.
our MVP. You go back and say, shit, he probably should have been the regular season MVP too. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't want to give him 3 in a row because nobody who's not won a title can win all these stupid
right.
things we make up. And it's like, why?
Right.
If he's the best player, give it to him. What are we doing?
Right. So I remember the pushback on Nash. Nash has an acquired taste. You have to really enjoy basketball to understand just how pivotal he was. Having lots of players in the NBA during that time, he was such a game changer. The Suns were a force of nature, and he was the absolute battery for that, for sure. But he came with some liabilities. Okay. We didn't measure those liabilities as well then as we can measure now. We have way better stats. Jokic blows everybody away in all those metrics. This year it was closer, but he was still the best.
Still the best.
Metrically speaking. Yeah. You can't get around that. He just does it differently than Giannis and LeBron has done and Steph Curry. No less impactful. Like one of the best players of all time. He's trending in that direction.
He's already there.
He's trending in, top 10, top 12. Figure it out. He's got a ways to go, but he's moving in that direction.
No, it's phenomenal, and I'm excited that the casual NBA fan who tunes in on the playoffs and the NBA Finals are going to get to see. Oh, I hear people talk about this Nikola Jokic guy. What's that all about? Like, I think they're going to see some awesome things, and I'm excited for that.
Let's finish off with this. Can you look at his stats in the Lakers series? What was his
I sure can.
Scoring, rebounding, assists? What was it?
I mean, he was
because I thought he averaged a triple double.
Oh, he 100% did.
Right. Right.
He 100% did. Let's pull him up. Nikola Jokic.
And let's remember, he's going up against the most dominant defensive player in the postseason.
I mean,
you can yell at AD all you want. He was an unbelievable defensive presence. Just incredible.
Right, let's see. Where are we here? Per game. All right. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 13.3 rebounds, 10.3 assists. Against
the best defensive player in the world. In my opinion, AD is that. I'm not saying he deserved the winner, but he is the single most important, impactful, best defensive player in the world. And this cat does a 30-point triple-double. Come on.
It's unbelievable. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's the equivalent of 50 points in a clinching game like Giannis got in game 6 against Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's just unheard of.
Oh, and while we're on that, and again, this just ties into this whole, this is what media likes to do, these silly stories. Any conversations about, the Lakers got to rethink Anthony Davis. Is he worth it? That guy gives them nothing offensively. Guys, no Anthony Davis, this team is not going to the conference finals. I promise you that. He was the
no
best.
Way.
And you guys know, I love Triple J.
You had a game plan for him.
Player. Yes, correct.
Yeah, you had a game just like you would with Triple J. You had to start your process with what do we do offensively with AD?
Correct.
How do we move him around? Mm-hmm. How do we attack him? Where do we attack him? When do we attack him? That was part of that was probably more prevalent than how do we defend LeBron. That was number one. How do we solve AD? Yeah. And Jokic did miraculous work.
But it's what we talk about on the show all the time. For whatever reason, it's because eyes understand offense better than it understands defense, right? And understands in quotes.
Yeah.
That 50% of the game is on defense. you have to guard. Teams that don't guard don't win.
And let me tell you something. Put Jokic in a time machine to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
He's on trial for witchcraft. 100%. 100% on trial for witchcraft.
Yeah, his nickname is Destructor. He would be rolling people.
Oh my god.
Yeah, come on.
They wouldn't know what they'd be like. What is this guy doing?
Same as Steph Curry and they've seen all these athletes.
They'd be like,
what is going on? Right. Yeah. He's a special guy. And we're lucky we get to see him for at least 4 more games.
At least 4 more games. We're excited. All right. I know you said you have an idea. What is your idea about what happens tonight in Game 5?
I think you'll have I think Miami's going to play well, and I would bet on Boston playing really well. I would lean towards giving the Celtics a win. I thought they were the better team all along.
I mean, they are.
I still don't think they win the series, but I would give them a slight. I would not favor them in Game 6 unless something happens tonight in Game 5 with an injury, but I would favor them tonight. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Either way, by the time we're back on Monday, we'll know who's doing what. Will we? Yeah. Thursday, Saturday. No, if it goes 7, we won't know. No. If it goes, because Game 7 would be Monday night. Because Thursday, Saturday, Monday. So
we'll know if it's still a series or not. Yeah.
Yes. We will know if it's still a series on Monday.
We'll be here.
All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend. Take care.